Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Trading the Markets. I'm Bijan Maleki, and of course, I'm joined by Kris Bullock. This is the show where we talk about weekly trades and ideas. So make sure you tune in and also follow the conversation in the Discord afterwards. We just want to remind you, these are just discussions that we're having. It's not meant to be taken as financial advice, just things that you can use to further your research. And, with that as well, make sure you also tune in to Drinks with Ral today. We're back at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you come with a drink, especially Doritos, right? Doritos and Bud Light is the specialty there. And bring your questions as well. And also, Kris is coming off of his most recent portfolio update. It's the 29th installment. I was just looking at it before we came on air. That SPX is up 190% since he input it. He's got Fartcoin in there, which is doing well, Solana, Sui, and a whole bunch of other things as well. So make sure you go check out that portfolio and read the report as well if you haven't done so already. And then also, we have our Real Vision meetups continuing throughout the summer. So make sure you sign up to realvision.com/meetups, and you can attend our meetup on July 17th in Melbourne, Australia. And then you can also check out our August 16th meetup in Vancouver. It's going to be a beach party for the summer. So make sure you're there. Kris is going to be there. So make sure you guys can go if you're in the area, or just fly in, enjoy a nice day on the beach in Vancouver. Why not, right? It's summertime. And also, our trade competition is over. It is complete. We have our winners. So big congratulations to Stuart, who took the top prize here, Lester with his nice coin trade, and Ian Dunn with Robin Hood rounds out the top three. You might see Joe Bland in there at number one. While Joe did have a great trade, he is ineligible to win the trade competition because he is an RV contributor. So if you want to get more of Joe's ideas, make sure you tune in tomorrow to a show where Joe is going to be debuting his equity portfolio and talking macro. And you can also check out Joe's equity reports as well for more in-depth information on where he's at and what he's thinking on trades. But Kris, how are you doing, and what are you thinking about today?
I'm doing good. Man, it was neck and neck between first and second there. 39.8 versus 38.9. It was that was so close.
Yeah, Lester, you almost got it.
No, I know, right? So I wanted to kind of on the same subject. I wanted to talk about the trade ideas section of the Real Vision website because it has really turned into an amazing resource. I don't look at it as much as I should. I know, Bijan, you look at it a lot more than I do, but there has been some just stellar call-outs, recently with huge trades that have gone up, multiples in less than a week's time. And I need to be paying more attention to it because, like I said, this community is huge. The hive mind is amazing, and between the lot of us, I think that there's some really, really, really good alpha there. I mean, as good as anywhere you can get. So I really want to call this out and encourage people to look at this section of the website more. And if you're not a member of Real Vision, get on it, get over there, and look at this because, this is where the money is. This is where people are. People are doing the research for you, basically, and just throwing the ideas up here. And of course, not all of them are going to be winners. I get that. But there's a lot of them that are, and there's a lot of them that do really, really well. And if anything, it's a great resource to get new projects on your radar, whether it's stocks or crypto or whatever. And just, really, really valuable resource for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking at the screen you have up here. There's multiple trades that are nearing 300% gains.
Right.
Joe Bland is like 1,200% gain on one of his trades. You can also check out our all-time leaderboard, and you can see who's had the highest return trades, and then you can actually follow them. So whenever they input a trade, you're notified because obviously timing is super important on these things. So when they input a trade, you can input it too, read their research as well. And if there's someone that you really identify with or you really vibe with and you like their reasonings and kind of how they go about their trades, just follow them and keep an eye on what they're doing. Like Joe Bland is one of them. Ian Dunn is one of them as well. We often mention these names because they're doing They're doing really well on their trade
Right.
ideas. So yeah, check them out, read the reasonings, check out the charts that they put in. Kris, you said it very well. It's probably our most underrated resource, I think, because you're tapping into our hive mind, but our hive mind is also tapping into a lot of the content that comes out from Ral and Julian and Jamie and Andreas. So you're getting a lot of different great information. So guys, check that out.
Yep, I absolutely have followed Joe Bland, and I'm looking forward to his next trade idea. So for sure.
So, Kris, what are we getting into today? I know you have a few trades or coins that are on your mind, but so you have the Bitcoin chart up. So why don't we dive into that?
Yeah, yeah. So obviously, if you haven't been looking at the charts today, we're having what we call a breakout day. Everything is very green across the board, pretty much. My entire watch list, outside of a handful, is green, and I mean green like double digits green, like in a lot of stuff. So it's a good thing. And starting with Bitcoin here, the thing I like about this is on the Monday show, I called out we were in this downward channel, which is actually what's called a bear flag and is actually bullish. And I've been kind of waiting for just a breakout of the structure. And today we got that. We got that sort of on multiple fronts. First, we broke above this downward sloping trend line. We also broke above the previous high from right here and this previous high from right here. So we've effectively reversed the structure. Also, more importantly, is we bounced right off the 20-day moving average, which had been serving as support. So I really love the fact that one, Bitcoin didn't break down below this moving average, and then two, it's breaking out and setting higher highs, thus kind of invalidating this sort of downward sloping structure that we're seeing, which is a good thing. It's what we want to see. Now, obviously, it remains to be seen if we continue to break on out of here and fully break out into new all-time highs into sort of price discovery phase. It may be a little premature for that still, but possibly not. So that's really what I'm looking for next. But in the meantime, this is very constructive. And like I said, we're seeing it across the board with a lot of assets. There's another chart I wanted to kind of touch on as far as Bitcoin real quick here. It's this Ichimoku cloud indicator that I've talked about before. It was just about to have what's called like a bearish TK crossover, where this line was going to cross over this other one. But like, I think it's sort of with this big green day today has earned a bit of a stay of execution, if you will, and will hopefully reverse this trend, and we don't get that sort of bearish signal out of this indicator. So that looks really good to me too. And yeah, just Bitcoin looks great. Also, everything else looks great too. I mean, like I said, if we kind of go down this list, there's there's some that are a bit wacky even. Like one of them, a few that have been really ripping. This useless token that we kind of talked about on Monday. It's like people were looking for an entry here, and it's not even coming down and touching the 10-day moving average. It's just continuing to throw up, double-digit days consecutive for just days and days on end. It's kind of funny. I mean, don't go chasing this really, because who knows what's ultimately going to happen with it. It's a very brand new token, as you can see, very low market cap. But it's just funny because it's, again, one of the ones that made it on the Monday show. And I kind of was looking to get into it, but I'm not going to touch that. Another one that sort of was comical in a way and caught my eye was this nobody sausage meme token. It had been kind of making the rounds on social media for a minute, and it was sort of catching people's attention. As you can see, it had a big, nice run, but then it looked like it was bleeding out and it was kind of over. And I had kind of left it for dead, basically. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, on Sunday, it had like 100% gain day. And then after a couple of days of chop, it's up another 50% almost again today, and has sort of resumed this uptrend structure. So I thought that was kind of funny. Another one that I thought was about dead was Kita, which had been sort of rolling over and had lost this important support level. And then, here we have it up 36% again today. And I think what we're seeing is just a lot of alts kind of across the board are making some headway. Like if we go over and look at the altcoin season index on CoinMarketCap, it was down as low as 18 just last week, and Bitcoin was looking really, really strong. And then just in the last week, it's gone back up to 24 and set like a decent high for the local time span. And we can see there's several that have been hanging around at the top. Syrup is one that I'll touch on in a second, but like Hype and Fartcoin and SPX and Virtual, all those sort of remain outpacing most of the crypto space and are continuing to. But I like the fact that Solana pumped its way just above Bitcoin, which is nice. And while Sweet isn't quite above Bitcoin yet, it's been on a nice run too. And so I wanted to get back to those because Solana, as we know, has an ETF launching this week, potentially a staked ETF, I guess you could call it, or a staking
Supposedly,
ETF.
yes, supposedly it's supposed to be launching today.
Yes, today.
Yeah.
So, hence part of the. I mean, obviously the entire market is running, so it's not that that's only part of the picture as to why Solana's in the green today. But regardless, Solana looks really good structurally. Like it too only came down and basically touched support on its 20-day moving average. We've also got, if you kind of zoom in here a little bit, we can see that the 10-day moving average has crossed back up over the 20 to sort of flip this trend bullish. Which is nice. And so, while structurally it doesn't look as good as some other stuff, it's doing okay. Like it's in an uptrend. It's up 4%, which it doesn't sound like a lot compared to some of these low cap alts or memes and stuff. But like it's a big cap token and it's up more than Bitcoin is today. So I'll take that. It's having a nice day. I think it's ultimately on its road to a nice recovery, and I think that ETF is going to help it because it's going to be the first of its kind with a yield component to it, the first ETF out there. And also, I think it's going to give another sort of mechanism for TradFi players to kind of roll some of those Bitcoin profits into or further out the risk curve, I guess, if you will. And so I know the question comes up, well, why can't they do that with ETH too? And they can, and I think they will. But I think ETH and Solana are a little bit different animals, and I think the TradFi market will recognize the difference between the two. But also, ETH is doing well on its own. ETH is actually showing a lot of strength as well. In fact, even arguably better structure than Solana. It's poked back up above this important, well, it had flipped it to resistance, but this important resistance line that it was on, and it too has a bullish crossover on its moving averages. And so I think ETH looks really good. In fact, all the majors do. ETH looks good, Solana looks good, SWI is having a nice day. It's up more than all of them. It's up almost 10% today. And you can see everything is just kind of bouncing across the board. And looking at SWI, kind of zooming out a little bit, I had this longer term trend line drawn all the way back to August, and it kind of had a touch on it right here, and then it's had another touch on it here. It's actually had 3 touches on it at this point. But the fact that it's holding this line and not breaking down further and setting lower lows, in fact, it's setting higher lows and higher highs even in this short-term trend, I think is a really solid sign of strength that SWI isn't dying on the vine like a lot of people were afraid of. And I know a number of people got in that joined Real Vision sort of at the beginning of the year and are maybe upside down on their SWI position at the moment. But I'm not worried about this at all. I really think that this has a lot of strength, and I think that it's going to continue to do well. And then finally, I wanted to talk about SPX a little because I had this chart here. Let me find it. No, not this one. This one here. So this is this meme coin gains indicator. I've talked about this on previous shows, but basically this blue line here is sort of an aggregate of all of the top meme tokens. And I added this separate green line chart here that's just SPX by itself because I wanted to see if SPX was actually following this larger trend of the aggregate memes. And we can see that it's actually not. Like it's holding steady and isn't really breaking down like the rest of the meme sector is. So SPX has effectively decoupled itself, I think, from the larger meme sector, which kind of supports the idea that I call it more of like a movement token at this point and less of a meme coin. Like, yes, it originated as a meme coin, and of course, technically it is, but like it's got a larger sort of higher purpose to it. It's got a mission to it that a lot of meme coins don't have. And it is really reflective of more of like a movement, I feel like, than just a meme, again, like a dog or a cat or, all of this sort of silly memes, a fart, even. And so I think that, I'm not surprised to see SPX differentiating itself here like this. And if we kind of look at the chart, we can see just anecdotally on my watch list here, SPX is up almost 20%, it just flipped over 20% on the day here. And so it's outpacing a large degree of the alt space. Yes, there's a couple of the outliers like the Nobody and the Kita and some other sort of micro cap ones. But in terms of like larger cap, top 100 altcoins, SPX is, I think, doing as good as any of them. And right now it's up 20% on the day. And we can see here too that it has sort of held support on this trend line, going back to the beginning of May. And so it didn't really set a lower low, which I like here, and is on pace to, well, basically set higher highs. And it's also very close to its all-time high, both on USD pair and on Bitcoin pair. So it continues to look really strong. I mean, yeah, it had a bit of a wobble here, but it's bounced right back. It's up 20% today. And everything kind of continues to look really good. So things are exciting today. It's a big, green, fun day. It's the kind of day we all like to look at charts, and so yeah, I love that.
It's the kind of day that reminds us that we are great traders sometimes.
Right,
You know?
right.
So we do have a question coming
Yeah.
from the platform, and a reminder to you all, if you have a question you want us to take live on air, want to see Kris chart a coin that you're interested in, just throw it in the chat, whether it's on platform or on X, and we will we'll get to as many as we can. So this one comes from the platform from Michael. He has a question about Arbitrum. So Arbitrum has been in the news a lot recently. Robinhood is using it with their tokenized stocks, right? And he's saying that supposedly Coinbase is going to be using this as part of their own system and network.
Yes.
So if true, is ARB possibly a buy? Let's take a look.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. It's not necessarily keeping pace with the larger market, as you can see since January. Its bull market support band is in a downtrend essentially. But like you said, those are good fundamental developments. Kind of, you could argue that Say is similarly experiencing a similar bounce for sort of similar reasons. But yeah, I think that we do have a bullish crossover on the daily time frame here. The 10 has flipped above the 20. It had a couple of good days. On Sunday it was up 17%, which is solid for it, and then today it's up another 8.5%. So definitely in an uptrend currently. We can see it bottomed on a DMARC 9 here too, which is noteworthy. But it's got a little bit of a ways to go, I feel like, to kind of reverse the larger weekly trend, which is ultimately what we want to see. Like, real quick, if we go back to this bull market support band website that I talked about last week, where we want to look for ones that are in the green here, that have both the moving averages pointed to the upside. We're not necessarily seeing that on Arbitrum in this case yet. We can see both the moving averages are still pointed to the downside, but it is in the process of reversing. You could argue that this is a double bottom here too, which is, I think, constructive. And I do like this big spike in volume that we're seeing right here as well. So with the moving average moving way up. So this definitely is a sign that Arbitrum has some momentum in this current moment, which I like. It's not, like I said, it's not outpacing the rest of the market at the moment. But if you're looking for signs of a reversal, we are seeing that right now for sure. So I would say give it a little bit. If like you wanted to get an entry on this, I would give it a little bit more time. I'd really like to see price get above this bull market support band, which is these two moving averages right here. This thing here. And so if we can get above this and sort of flip this to support, then I would feel much better about having a longer term position in it. But we're well on our way. So keep an eye on it.
All right, keep an eye on ARB. Thank you for the question, Michael. We have another question incoming from YT asking us to check in on HBAR and Sauce. So HBAR, definitely one we've talked about in the past, but I don't think we've spoken too much about it recently.
So yeah, I mean, it's sort of suffered a similar fate to the rest of the market effectively. I mean, obviously it had this big mega rally coming off it was part of the Dino coin run that came, in Q4 of last year. It and things like it and XRP rather, and Cardano and a few of those other ones. It was part of that, and it held those gains for quite some time before ultimately kind of losing some steam. It was similar to XRP in that regard, though I think it lost a little bit more than XRP has. But it too's got a bit of a double bottoming pattern here, as we can see, kind of looking at this right here and this right here. So double bottom and a nice bounce, not quite as good of a bounce as the Arbitrum that we were just looking at, and it hasn't quite reversed the daily trend. And you can see it's a fair bit further below its bull market support band. But I don't know. To me, it's like it's okay, but it's not something that I would want to. I think there's better investments out there in this moment. I think there's better plays that have more momentum in this moment. And I know I'm not going to argue about HBAR's fundamentals. Fundamentally, it's very good. It's not going anywhere. But sometimes, as we know in crypto, fundamentals don't always drive price action as much as we think they should or could. And I think that we're seeing that. Basically, the market isn't sort of deeming HBAR as the new hot shiny object that it wants to throw its money behind, and so it's not outpacing the rest of the stuff. But also, it could be worse. I don't like the volume kind of bleeding out either. It's continuing to bleed out. So, whereas unlike, say, the Arbitrum chart that we looked at, it was having a big, massive volume spike. If you remember, like if I just back up real quick, Arbitrum, this is what you want to see coming out of a low. You want to see volume ripping to the upside, showing this is a sign that the market is like, okay, I like what's going on here. I like what they're doing. I want to put my money behind this. Whereas with HBAR, we're not getting that. We're seeing sort of a slow bleed out and sort of no volume to kind of support any kind of a reversal yet at this moment. So that's what I'd be looking for there.
Yeah, just based off of that chart, the last major volume spikes looked like they were in December 2024 for HBAR,
Right.
whereas Arbitrum's spikes started in kind of May and are continuing up until today. So that's really
Yeah,
what you want to see with the hot hand on this. Well
for sure.
said. Okay, he also wanted us to check out Sauce.
Sauce, like
Yeah, like
sauce, sauce for
SAUCE.
swap.
Yeah, Sauce.
Okay, got it. Uh,
Yeah.
it's wow, very similar, almost identical price action structure here. Are the two? I'm not sure. Maybe the two are related. I'm not familiar with sauce
Yeah,
actually,
but look at
but
that volume. Ugh.
yeah, definitely bleed out on volume. Almost nearly identical chart structure. You could argue everything I just said about HBAR, you could apply to this chart as well. I mean, verbatim, essentially.
Yeah. And I would say it's
That's
more
funny.
dire with Sauce, to be completely
I would
honest with you. Get
I would
out.
say so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
YT, if you have Sauce, don't have it anymore after this show. Um,
Yeah.
all right, so we have another question coming in from Vasily on the platform. What's up with SCA? Looks like it's front running SWE. What levels will signal a long-term trend reversal?
Let's see. SCA. Um, well, it's going to be kind of the same signals like that I've been talking about, but basically, or here, let me see if I can find a chart with volume on it real quick. Thought I saw a Kraken one here. Hold on. Or a Q coin. This will work. Okay. Well, big spike in volume here. Okay. Well, this is certainly a step in the right direction. You can see, obviously, we're in a much longer downtrend. Just looking at this bull market support band, it's very steep to the downside, and it's effectively been in outside of a rally here in Q4 of last year. It's just been kind of down only. We had a bit of a run in April, but you can see really it came up and just sort of got rejected by this bull market support band and has since lost it again. Now, it hasn't gone on to set a lower low, which I guess is a good sign. And you could argue we've got a slight bit of an uptrend here, kind of going, starting here. It sort of has held this. So that's constructive. And it's working itself in the right direction. But really, what I want to see here to kind of cement a further reversal in this longer trend is for it to break above this bull market support band and really flip it to support and have the band reverse back to the upside. We want to see these moving averages pointing up and to the right, not down and to the right. I mean, because this is really what signals a longer term, like weekly trend. And that's what's going to tell you that this has legs, going forward, say into the rest of the year, for example. And so while this is a good sign, I would argue, we've set a series of higher lows, which I like. And obviously this volume spike here signals that something positive has changed. I don't know what. I'm not up to speed on this project, but clearly this has people's attention, and obviously this candle today, 37%, is nothing to sneeze at. So this is good. Whatever they're doing, keep doing it. But again, like kind of like the Arbitrum chart, for example, it's a little bit premature. Like you could argue if you got in here, it would be considered an aggressive entry. Like you'd still run the risk of the chart rolling over as opposed to waiting a little bit longer for some confirmation, even if that means you miss a little of the upside in the initial reversal. If you wait for some confirmation, sort of wait for this band to sort of roll back up to the upside, kind of like so, then that'll sort of give you a much more solid position that you can feel better about and probably sleep better at night about, knowing that the chances of it continuing to run to the upside are much better than, say, right now in this moment. So yeah, that's what I'd be looking for.
Awesome. Thank you for the question, Vasily. Guys, that is going to do it for us today. But I do want to
Wait,
throw. Oh yeah, go ahead. I was
I
actually
did
going
want
to
to
throw it
touch on.
to you, but
Oh, I was gonna. Yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off there. I wanted to touch on a couple of other charts that have really just been ripping over the last week that look really good to me. Syrup continues to look amazing. It's ticks all the boxes. It's in a really solid uptrend. It's holding support kind of on this 20-week moving average, or day moving average rather, and just continues to show really, really good strength. Volume continues to stay, a poke above average days on the regular, and I just really like the look of this chart. So syrup's one for sure. And hype continues to look good as well. It had a little bit of a wobble, but I think it's looking a lot like the rest of them. It's going to continue to run up. And then I think was it Arrow I wanted to touch on too. Arrow kind of looks good too, in that it sort of came up and is basically retesting the top of its bull market support band as support. And I do look for it to, run another leg up here too, I think, as long as everything continues to break out. So those are a few that are on my short list for sure right now.
yeah. So we
But definitely the syrup chart looks the best. Sorry.
no, go ahead. I mean, yeah. So Kris has talked about syrup, arrow, hype, right? We talked about useless, nobody's sausage, SPX, Farcoin are all interesting looking coins right now. Kris, I do want to throw it to you for another question though.
Yeah.
What do you say on green days like today? Because I feel like the market in general and participants in the market feel the way that I do about NFT art. So when the price is down, the art doesn't look so good. But when the price is up, well, now all of a sudden the art looks beautiful. And I think that's how they kind of treat coins as well.
Right.
What do you say? What do you say to that on green days like this, where people start seeing the chart running and now they just want to rush in to buy? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's funny. You need to be buying on the red days. I mean, you need, and really what you need to do is zoom out, kind of focus more on the weekly time frame. Like I really tell people, I discourage people heavily from just getting so honed in on like the intraday time frames, and looking at the hourly and the 4 hour or even the 15-minute chart. Like just don't ever do that, honestly, especially if you're long-term holding. Like you only need to do that if you're day trading or if you're actively looking for like a specific entry on a longer term position. Maybe you go look at the 4 hour, but like otherwise daily and weekly charts, man. And honestly, like if you look at like Bitcoin just on the weekly here, it looks amazing. And so you can look at this chart on the weekly and go, well, dips are for buying. Anytime I see a red in this scenario, I'm like, I know this chart's going to keep going up. And you can do this for just any number of charts. Like here, let me pick, let's look at SPX, for example, on the weekly. Like this one looks even better. Like this one, like go back and look at this earlier phase here where it, poked a high here and then kind of had double topped here. And then it broke out on the third time and then just ripped north. And we've got a very similar thing playing out right now. A top here, kind of a double top here. And I'm waiting for another one of these right here. And I think that this is what's, likely to play out. And so when I see this structure where it's just inching, like looking to break out of this sideways structure that it's in, I look at the red days as buying opportunities. And so that way, when I see a red candle on a daily, I'm buying the dip. I'm buying it when it comes down and touches the 20-day moving average or the 10-week moving average or something. So that way, when we have a green day, I'm not having to chase anything because I missed the boat, And so green days are for sitting back and relishing in your buying the dip basically, as opposed to chasing it. And so sometimes you just have to kind of get the courage to buy the dip, but you get that courage by zooming out and looking at the higher time frames, at the weekly time frame or anything like that. So that's what I have to say about that. Don't go chasing the green days. Buy the dip on the red days and have that conviction based on your weekly analysis. Is my response to that.
Very well said. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us today. Just a reminder, you can tune into our Monday show as well. Every Monday, live in Discord. We have a longer show in Discord where we kind of touch on pretty much everything and anything that our members want to talk about. But you do need to be an RV Connect member and above. So make sure if you're not, make sure you are, so that you can tune in. And you also get access to Kris's crypto portfolio, and you'll get access to Joe Bland's equity portfolio. So definitely worth the membership, and also just the vibes in Discord and chatting with our members are just great. So guys, that's going to do it for us today. Make sure you tune in to Drinks with Rao today at 2 p.m. ET, and we'll be back on Monday, and we'll be back again next week on Wednesday. Have a great week, everyone.